All right, I think we should be good to go then. All right, guys, welcome to our summer open house event for FDN. Technically, the first event was actually on Saturday, so you guys might have already gotten to see that. Unfortunately, I was not able to make that one. I was doing something fun. I was camping, but I will be with you guys as a host for almost all of the other events throughout June. So I have a really, well, I say this tongue in cheek, simple job this month, but we'll see how that actually manifests and turns out. So today we are going to be doing a live course tour with Brandy Buskow. And Brandy's just an awesome person at FDN. I'll read her bio in a second. But the course tour is actually something pretty exciting because as someone who's on the course enrollment team, and I do the podcast as well, if you guys have seen me there, I think this is the best resource that we have. I think if someone goes through the course tour, they are going to know like 95% of the way whether FDN is or isn't for them. So the fact that we get to update this now and get to show you guys all these wonderful things that have been added over the last couple of years, I think that's fun. Brandy, I'm excited to be here. So let me read your bio really quick for these wonderful people. And then I will say hello to you really quick. So Brandy Buskow, she is the chief operations officer for FDN, so COO. She also runs her own successful functional health practice, helping moms get their energy back and balance their hormones. Now, she didn't put this in her bio, but I will. I think Brandy is like the perfect person that you could have in the positions that she's in because she has this really human side to her where you have real stuff going on. She gets that. But then at the same time, if you need to get in order, she knows how to do that as well. So it's a good mix of someone for that. So Brandy, thanks for being here with us. I'm excited to do this with you today.
Thanks, Evan. I'm excited to be here and excited to re-record this course tour. So like you said, we can share with everybody all the new and amazing things that we have added to FDN. So with that, I am going to share my screen and we're going to give you a behind the scenes peek at our course platform. So while we do that, I'm going to turn off my video so everybody can just focus on the screen. Sure. So Ev, just give me a quick, yes, I can see it when you can see my screen.
Everything looks great to me.
Perfect. All right. I am going to move this down here. So welcome to the FDN course tour. So what happens after you enroll in the FDN certification course? You get an email within 5 minutes of enrolling that gives you your username and password to log you into this website, which is our course platform. So we call it FDN Connect, and this is where, as a student and a graduate, you're going to get access to all of your course material and resources and supporting material. So when you log in for the very first time, you're going to come to this screen. We call this our dashboard, and this is where you're going to see any important announcements or upcoming events. But this is the one that everybody's excited for. This is where you're going to get to see your courses. Now, the nice thing that we've done here on this course dashboard is that if you've already started in the course, you can always click on this continue where I left off button, and we'll take you right back to the lesson that you had finished on. So let's dive in to the certification course and go through all of the things that you're going to get when you enroll in the course. So I'm going to click on my courses. And this is what it's going to look like for you guys. You probably won't have as many courses as I do on my dashboard, but this is what it's going to look like. So here's the course. This is the Functional Diagnostic Certification course. And when you come over here, this is the main page, and it shows you the course breakdown and all of the modules. So before we dive into some of the modules, let's talk a little bit again about what do you get when you enroll in the course. So you get the FDN certification course, but the other thing that you get is you get 4 functional lab screenings. So these are tests that you are going to run on yourself. You're also going to get access to an online assessment, which we call the metabolic typing assessment. So you essentially get 5 of our 6 foundational tests included in your tuition. And those test kits, when you enroll, you will get access to them after you have completed Module 1. So as soon as you complete Module 1, our medical director program, who manages all of our test kits, will email you and let you know your test kits are on your way. So I wanted to kind of cover that because that's an important part of understanding the course. Not only do you get the course, but you get those test kits included in tuition. And while we're recording this course tour and I'm giving you behind the scenes look, I really want this to be interactive. So if at any time you guys have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Evan will interrupt me and ask questions because we want to make sure that you get all of your questions answered and you're fully informed on what you can expect when you enroll in the FDN certification course. So let's take you through what is in these modules. So I'm just going to open up the welcome module here. And this is just a quick introductory module where you get a welcome video from Dawn Hine and Elizabeth Gaines. So Dawn is our Chief Production Officer and Elizabeth is our course supervisor and lead mentor. And this welcome video kind of introduces you to the platform and allows you to understand what to expect as you're going through the course. So they give you some study tips. They give you information on how to get support if you need support. So this is a really great start to the program. You're going to get that introductory video from Elizabeth and Dawn. And in this welcome module, this is where you can also download our course curriculum guide. So we created this guide to help you walk you through how to pace yourself through the course. So when you enroll in the FDN certification course, it is an open enrollment course, meaning you can jump in and enroll anytime. And because it's open enrollment, that means it's also self-paced. So as you complete a module, you get access to the next one. Now, having said that, it is important to know that we do give you 12 months to complete the course. The average amount of time at this point is about 8 to 10 months to complete the course. I think we're hovering at around 9.5. And this course curriculum guide is going to help you kind of pace yourself and know if you're on track and if you need support. So I always encourage all new students to download this so that they can keep track of their progress. The other thing that we give you is we give you the ability to download all of the course slides. There is a couple of reasons you might want to do this. You might want to download them all at once so that you can put them into a binder. I know some of our students have also downloaded them and made them into a book. I've seen that so that you can reference them as you're going through. But don't worry, you don't have to do all of them at once. We do also give you the ability to download the course slides in each module if you want to pace how much you're printing at one time. So this is the welcome module, and once you're done, you'll click on the next lesson and it's going to take you into module 1. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on every single module, but I just want to give you an understanding of what is included in each module so you can get an idea of what you're going to learn. So in module 1, this is where you're going to jump in and start learning from Reed himself. And Reed's going to go over with you, what the FDN philosophy is in module 1, why we do what we do, what our methodology means, and why we are different. And you'll notice that in most modules, I think every one of them except for one, we do have quizzes. And the quizzes are multiple choice questions. They're pretty straightforward. They're never more than 6 questions, I believe. And you can retake it as many times as you want. I know we do get that question. So if you fail once, that's okay. You can retake it. There's no limit to the amount of times that you can retake a quiz. So in case somebody's wondering that, I wanted to address that. So module 1 is just an introduction. You're getting to know Reed, and Reed's talking to you about our methodology, what is metabolic chaos, and why we're different. Then when we jump into, let's go back to the main page because I think this will look a little bit better. When we jump into module 2, this is when we're going to start getting into the meat and potatoes of the content. This is where Reed starts diving into hormones. And this is where you start to really learn the hows and whys behind why we do the testing that we do and the philosophy of FDN and how we are different and how we can actually get our clients success. So you can see here in module 2, we start talking about the HPA axis and cortisol and understanding those. Then when we go into module 3, this is where Reed gets into the sex hormones. So estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, giving you a deep dive into all of those hormones. It does get a little bit nerdy with some physiology, which is great because it's important for you to understand, what do these hormones do and how do they work so that you can then explain them to your clients. And for those of you that are a little intimidated by that, Reed is an excellent teacher, and he teaches you in a way that you can explain to your clients so that you're not going to feel overwhelmed like you need a medical degree. So that's the one thing that I would say. Reed is an excellent teacher from that perspective. So then we're going to dive into Module 4, and this is when we start getting into metabolic wellness, detoxification, and oxidative stress. So you can see there's a lot of lessons in here. This is a big one. We've got 9 lessons in Module 4. Module 5, we get into mucosal barrier and leaky gut. And so again, in each of these modules, Reed is teaching you the background. He's talking about the physiology, or understanding how these systems work. Because without that understanding, you're not going to know why we're using the test and what the test results mean. So you're getting that background in each of these lessons. And so Module 5 has 7 lessons. Then we go into Module 6, and this is a big one. This is all about gut pathogens. This one is 12 lessons long. I like to say this is the one where people get here and they say, this one's a monster. I have to rewatch this a couple times, but that's okay. You can rewatch them as many times as you want. And again, you can download the slides. There's audios in here, so you can download the audios and re-listen to them when you're on a walk or you're at the gym. So that's the nice thing as well. We include the audios so that you can listen over and over again if you need to get the concepts. So after Module 6, we give you a little bit of a break and we start introducing you to our intake process. So you get to know our intake forms. And this is when you, as a student, are going to get to fill out your own intake forms, because we're preparing you to become a client. Because we've sent you your test kits after Module 1. You're going to start filling out your own personal intake forms in Module 6. And then we're going to also walk you through collecting your own samples so that by the time you are finished Module 14, you get to go over your own personal test results.
Oh, good. I guess you are looking at me, Brandy. I'm like, what do I do here? Do I raise my hand for you?
Yeah, no, of course.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Thanks. So someone actually asked, and of course I know the answer, but it's good for everyone to hear. Is this all audio, or are we looking at videos as well for these modules and lessons?
Great question. So let's go into one of these so you can see it. So let's go in here to lesson 1. So it is lesson slides. So if I press play here a little bit, you can see there's lesson slides here with audio in the background. So these are all pre-recorded, and that's what we mean by the slides. You can download the slides for each of these modules and follow along with Reed through the videos. And Reed has tried really hard not to make the videos longer than half an hour so that you don't feel overwhelmed. So some of these lessons will have multiple videos so that you can kind of do a half an hour at a time. And if you need to take a break, then that's okay. So hopefully that answers the question. That was a great question.
Yeah, I think the course would just be too dang tough if it was audio only, right? We need that visual side as well. If I can, while we have a second, only because I hear this question come up so often, Brandy, that I'm positive someone out there is going to have this if they're live or watching the recording. One of the things that people ask on these calls is like, well, wait, we learn about hormones and all this stuff. That sounds kind of complicated. Will I need a background in this to do this? Or can someone come in that has never been through this stuff, but has the will to learn, right? And the work ethic? Could they do it even if they don't have a science background?
Another fantastic question. And the answer is yes. We don't have a prerequisite for you to have a specific background to come into the FDN course. As I mentioned, this is one of the strengths of Reed's, is that he's a really, really good teacher, and he's able to take really complicated concepts and explain them to you in a way that you can then turn around and explain them to your clients. I'm sure many of the clients you're going to work with do not have medical backgrounds. They don't know physiology. So yes, we're going to dive into that, but you're going to get, he does a lot of repetition so that it sinks in for you. So we have a lot of different types of people who come into the course. We have moms who are coming in and they just want to help their family and help themselves. And they're successful. We have personal trainers, we have health coaches, we have doctors, acupuncturists, RNs. So there's a lot of different types of people who come into this course, and it is made for I don't want to say the layperson because that's not true, but it's made for the non-licensed person who doesn't have a medical background, and you learn enough to understand how the body systems work, how they talk to each other, why it's important to understand that. And as I mentioned, Reed is a really great teacher when it comes to that. So you can take that information and then explain it to one of your clients.
Yeah, we have one more for right now, and I'll cover this one for you. It's easy enough. Someone asked, do we have lifetime access to the videos and recordings? So I'll answer this two ways just in case. If you mean for the video that you're watching right now, I'm assuming that you're VIP, you will. And since you're asking on Zoom, I know you must be. So yes, you will have access to the recordings. It's not lifetime, I don't believe, but you will have access. If you mean the course itself, I gotta shout this out because as a practitioner myself, I think this is one of the coolest parts about FDN. Not only do you get lifetime access to the videos and recordings, you get access to the course updates. So I did this 6 years ago, and FDN, it's not different in principle, but it's different in the amount of content that is there over these last 6 years. I have access to all of that. Brandy graduated before me. She has access to all of that. So that's really, it's kind of a unique thing, Brandy, that I don't think we talk about nearly enough, because most schools, I went somewhere else and after a year they cut me off, let alone did they give me the lifetime updates, right? So we get the updates here and all the videos for as long as we want to do it.
Yes. Yes, I graduated in 2014, and the amount of content that we have today is like so much different than what we had before. And like Evan said, the concepts are not different. They're exactly the same, but Reed has added so much content to this course. And as long as you stay in good standing, so let's talk a little bit about that. What is good standing? Good standing basically means that you are recertifying every 2 years, and our recertification requirement is 12 hours of continuing education credits. So that's 12 hours of knowledge that you're gaining, whether it could be any nutrition course, it could be a coaching course, it could be a weekend workshop that you attended. Those would all count. We basically, what we're looking for is we want to see that you're keeping yourself up to date in the field, and you would just submit those every 2 years, and you will get ongoing access to the material. And anytime we add new information, you will get access to the new information. And like Evan said, I don't know any other program that does that. So
yeah.
Yes.
Is it okay to do one more right now? Because someone snuck in.
Of course.
Cool.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Trisha asks, do you have a quick reference guide / book to use when you're done the program to refer back to?
That's where the slides come in. And so when you print all of the slides, when I did it, I just went and sent them to Staples or Business Depot, and I had them print it and I put it in a binder. And Evan's bringing out his book.
This is all right, Trisha. So if you go through the course, I need you to message me, because Maddie, my girlfriend, went through and she has made, I think, Brandy, we're at like 50 or 60 of these for trainees. So yeah. She is a brilliant artist, graphic designer background. She doesn't do that now, but she created this whole reference thing for the course. It is all the slides. And so she's got notes galore in here. With every little thing that you can imagine for FDN. So it's available. I think these are only, like, believe it or not, even though it's hardback, 40 or 50 bucks to make. And the paperback or softback, I don't know what you call that. It's a little different, but that one's only like 30. So we're happy to get you one of these, because these things are sweet. So it is available.
Yes. Yeah. You can send those slides in and create a book that you can then reference after the fact. So yes.
Cool. And last thing for right now is, someone just said that's awesome and sounds great. Yeah, no, it's really cool. Where do we get the CEU material? Because there's quite a few places they could get that.
Let's hold that question, and I will get to that in just a moment, because I'm going to show you, after we go through the course, I'm going to show you what you get when you graduate, and I'm going to show you some of the additional resources that we have for you as a graduate. So we'll talk
cool. So we will get to that, and then we're good to go for right now to keep moving.
Fantastic. All right. So once we have completed the documentation module, so this is where you're learning about our intake process and you're filling out the intake forms from yourself. Then we're jumping into module 7, which is food sensitivity testing. So again, we kind of gave you that little bit of a break, and now you're jumping back into the material and learning about foods and food sensitivity testing and what is the best food sensitivity test. Just a hint, there isn't a best food sensitivity test. It doesn't exist, but we talk about how you can leverage it and how it can be very helpful. And then once we finish the food sensitivity test, then we're going to jump into metabolic typing. So this is the beginning of the diet conversation or the food conversation that we start to teach you on. Really, the concept is that each person is very individual. There's no one diet that fits for everybody. And so metabolic typing can be very helpful in this. And this is where you actually get to do the metabolic typing assessment yourself. So as a student, we give you a link to that. You get to do that yourself. And once your metabolic typing test results come in, you actually get a 1-hour session with one of our mentors to go over your personal test results. So this is the first time that you're going to get to meet one-on-one with a mentor to go over some of your personal test results and get started on your journey and as being a client, so that you get to experience it before you start coaching clients. So after metabolic typing, we jump into our methodology, which is DRESS, which is diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, and supplementation. So we have 5 modules on dress. So this is, how to put together protocols, how to make recommendations for your clients, how to kind of address the things that we're seeing on the test results. Then in module 14, we go over some case studies with you. So you get to see a couple of our mentors go over some case studies from beginning to end, what the intake form looks like, what their 5 labs look like, so all of the test results, and how they build a protocol for that person. And then in module 15, Reed goes into onboarding. So how to run a sales call, how to have a conversation with somebody, how to price your packages, and how to present it. So you get to practice or understand what a sales call looks like, and then how to onboard a client, because that is going to be the first practical that you work on. So I'm just going to pause there for a second. Evan, do we have any questions so far before I jump into the practicals?
No, we're good right now.
Awesome. Okay. So once you've finished module 15, and I need to correct myself because I said 14 before, but once you finish module 15, you are now eligible to do your second set of personal one-on-one mentor sessions. And so you get 3 total one-on-one sessions with a mentor to go over your own personal test results. So the first one happens in module 8 when you do the metabolic typing assessment. And then after module 15, that's when you get to go over the other 4 functional lab tests that we've included in tuition. So those are going to be split into 2 separate sessions. They're going to go over your test results, and they're going to give you some recommendations. And again, this is where you get to be the client and jump in and start implementing your own protocol and getting some recommendations from a mentor. So once you have completed your personal one-on-one mentoring sessions, now we're in the final stages of the course. This is where you're putting into practice everything that you've just learned. So we have a total of 6 practical sessions where it's a role play scenario. So you are role playing as the practitioner, and one of our mentors is role playing as the client. And so you get to practice what you've just learned through all of these practical sessions. These are marked, but I want to encourage people not to feel intimidated by these, because our mentors are amazing. And so it's very rare that somebody would fail, but this is just an opportunity for you to practice and get feedback and gain confidence, because once you've graduated from the course, you've actually practiced being a practitioner. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to practice for the very first time on your first client. You're going to practice while you're in the course with us, feeling safe with a mentor, getting feedback and encouraging you.
Yeah, Brandy, we have something, and I got to comment on that too. It's like, again, is it hard or rare to fail? Sure. But at the same time, I think we've emphasized this point other places really well. You don't want a course where you can't fail. There are some like that. We call them buy your certification courses, right? You just pay the money and you automatically get certified. One of the reasons that if you search online for FDN, despite thousands of graduates, you hear consistently good things, is because we're actually vetting people when they're going through. We're not just handing them out. We make sure that you know the material and know what you're talking about so that you can do this correctly and ethically. And I think you should want something. It's not just a cheesy reframe. It's a legitimate reframe. You should want something that you could fail. That's why people respect college. That's why people respect the SATs if you're in America, right? So you want things like this where there's actual challenge. You need to study and you need to prepare. Someone had asked, what are the 4 functional lab tests that we're going to be able to do in the course?
Oh, that's a great question. So the first one that you get included is the stress and hormones profile. It's a saliva test where it's a 4-point cortisol, and we're also looking at all of the sex hormones. We also look at melatonin and secretory IgA. So that is the first one, and that is what Reed covers in modules 1 and 2 of the course. So in these 2, actually 1 through 3, so these are the modules that cover that test. Then you're going to get the metabolic wellness profile. That is a urine test. It's a dry urine test, and that's the one where we're looking at detoxification and oxidative stress. The third test is what we call the mucosal barrier assessment. This is a dry blood test that is looking at zonulin, histamine, and DAO. So we're looking at the integrity of the gut or leaky gut. And then the fourth test that you get included is the GI map pathogen test. So this is it's a stool test, and this is looking for parasites, bacterial infections, fungal overgrowth, and there are some other digestive health markers on there as well. So the cost of these tests alone is over $1,200, but we include that in tuition, and it's important that we give you these tests because we want you to experience what it's like to be a client. Now, we do not include the food sensitivity test in tuition because we are international. And so depending on where you live, the food sensitivity test is going to vary. So that is the only one that we do not include, but we highly encourage you to purchase it. And we do give you information in Module 7 here on how to access it, depending on where you live. All of the other tests can be shipped anywhere in the world.
Which is so cool because when you and I went through, Brandy, and actually when a lot of older FDNs went through, we only had access to like a couple of tests, not access as practitioners, but access while we were going through the course. And I love that they updated this to say, hey, no, we're just going to give you all the tests that we can while we're in this so that you can run it on yourself. And man, I think it's such a good sign of faith on FDN side where it's like there's advantages to paying in full, to be clear, but you could be on a payment plan. And Brandy just told you, I mean, it's $1,200 just in lab testing. You're well within the money. 6 months into this thing, you're almost graduated on average. You've gotten all these tests. You're going through the practicals with your mentor. I mean, it's a pretty dang good deal. So I think it's nice that we do that. We also had someone asked, are these closed or supervised tests? So forgive me, I'm not. Okay.
Yeah, so all of the quizzes is open book. And as I mentioned, you can do them as many times as you want. And I think they're probably talking about the final exam. So I just wanted to show you what one of the practicals looks like. So for each practical, you get a full set of instructions on what exactly is expected of you and what you need to do. And there's a whole set of files. So I just wanted to show you that we're very clear. We want to make sure we help you with that. But on the written and the oral exam, so the written exam, it is an open book exam. We do give you the ability to download it. I think it's at module 7. So you can download it and start working on it. So you can take as much time as you need to complete this exam, and then you submit it and it is marked. And once it's marked and you pass, so you do need to get a B or greater to pass. Once you pass, then you're going to be able to book your oral exam, which is a 30-minute live exam where you're being asked questions about FDN concepts by our qualifications mentor, Tess. And again, I want to just tell people, don't feel intimidated by this. Tess is super nice. She's not mean. She's just there to make sure that you really understand the concepts. And if you've passed all of your practicals, you should not have a problem with the oral exam. It should be a breeze for you to do.
I've heard all the same stuff. Again, it was set up a little differently, so I didn't have the ability to work with Tess at the time for the oral exam. But when Maddie did it, they ended up talking, I think, for 10, 15 minutes before. Tess was so good at her job. She was really, if you look at it, just trying to comfort her, make sure she was chilled out, went through the oral exam and passed with flying colors. So Tess is a great person. And I'm glad that she's the one kind of exclusively doing that right now. So we have consistency in terms of how we're graduating people, you know?
Yes, yes. So that's the course content. So I want to talk a little bit about what are some of the resources you have as a student. So we do have this trainee resources page. So if I just click on that, there's information on basically any information you can look at. Like if you want to click on test kits, it gives you information on that. But the other thing that I wanted to share is the support calls that you get as a student. So these are not required. So we don't require you to attend them, and they're not included in the 150 hours that we say the course takes, but we highly encourage you to attend when you can. So we have a monthly new student welcome call. So every month our course supervisor, Elizabeth Gaines, hosts a welcome call where you can join live on Zoom, and she can kind of walk you through some of the logistics, where to find support. And this is your opportunity as a new student to meet other new students, but also to get your questions answered. So you get direct access to Elizabeth on that monthly call. We have a monthly business Q&A call for all of our students. So for those of you who are maybe getting closer to the end of the course and you're thinking about starting your business, Jennifer Woodward, who runs FDN Business School, she jumps into the student group once a month and starts answering all of your business questions. We also have a monthly AFDNP Q&A. So AFDNP is our postgraduate membership, and I will talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But Lucy, who's in charge of that, will come in and answer any of your questions. If you're starting to think about joining AFDNP when you graduate, she's going to get all those questions answered for you. We also have a monthly metabolic typing spotlight. So our two mentors who are metabolic typing advisors hold this monthly call to answer all of your questions about metabolic typing. We get a lot of questions about this, so we created a monthly call so that students can come on and answer or ask questions. And all of these are live streamed into the trainee or the student Facebook group, so you can rewatch them anytime. And if you see here, you can see the metabolic typing spotlight recordings are here, so you can watch all of the replays anytime if you can't be there live. Now, the two most popular student support calls that we have are our weekly calls. So the first one is Hot Topics with Elizabeth. And as I mentioned, Elizabeth is our course supervisor. And each week, Elizabeth dives into a specific topic in the course and really explains it in a way that it's maybe a little bit different than read, but it kind of helps you to understand that concept. So we get so much amazing feedback about this call because it gives everybody an opportunity to refresh themselves on these concepts and hear them in a different way. So that happens every single week. You can come on live, you can ask her questions. And then it's not last but not least, because you also have access to support at any time. So you can email our support team. But we have our weekly trainee study hour with Reed. So every single Friday, Reed is on there and he's answering all of your questions. So you get direct access to Reed and Elizabeth, and you get to ask them questions. And almost every single Friday, they always go over an hour because he loves those calls and he wants to make sure that he connects with you and he answers all of your questions. So there's a ton of support. And like I said, all of those calls are not required, but we definitely encourage you to attend them if you can, because that's going to help you through the course.
Yeah. You said you're going to be doing AFDNP in a little bit, right?
We're going to go there next.
Okay, cool. So I'll skip that question. Someone asked, Stephanie actually asked, are other tests taught, like how to analyze and read things such as HTMA or the Dutch test?
That is a great question. So let's talk about graduation. So we've just covered, you're a student, you're a new student. What do you get as you're going through the course? What are all of the resources you have as a student? So let's talk about what happens when you graduate from the course. So when you graduate, and I'm going to go back to my courses so you can see what it looks like. You are going to get access to, actually just have to find it here. Uh-oh,
I
where
was
is it? There
impressed
it
with
is.
this. You got a lot of stuff in there.
So you get access to the open access course. So every single graduate has this open access course. This is the exact same course that I just showed you for students, but what we've done with open access is we've taken out all the quizzes and the practicals so that, as we alluded to earlier, whenever we make updates to the course, this is where graduates get to access that new content. And in this open access course, we have a bonus module here called the Dutch 101. So when you graduate, you're automatically going to get access to this bonus content on the Dutch, because I think that was one of the questions that somebody asked about. So there's a lot of great content here that's free when you graduate. Now, if you are looking for training on other tests, we do have our advanced modules. So here under our advanced module catalog, this is where we have shorter courses that dive deeper into specific topics. Now, with our advanced courses, there's no time limit on them. So when you enroll, you have as much time as you need to go through them. But this is where you can dive into some of those things like the Dutch. So this is specifically on the Dutch test, functional blood chemistry analysis. So if you're really wanting to know about how to leverage blood chemistry in your practice, this is a great course. I highly recommend it. The thyroid course, this dives deeper into thyroid. We talk about mitochondria. We have an organic acids course. We have a course on blood sugar management and blood sugar issues and heart wellness, and we're always adding more courses. So this actually also answers the question for the person who was asking about the CEUs. So these courses do count towards those continuing education credits. So you can either take some advanced courses, but you don't have to just take FDN advanced courses. It could be anything. So, I'm just trying to think, maybe you're going to a big Mindshare event or something, or maybe you have another certification and you're attending a conference or workshop. Those are things that you could take and you could submit for continuing education units, and it's just 12 hours. It's very easy to get those. Now, if you want to press the easy button on your 12 hours, that's where you're going to want to join our AFDNP. Because if you are an active member of our AFDNP, it fully counts towards your 12 hours of continuing education credits. What is AFDNP and what are the benefits of being a member? So AFDNP is our postgraduate membership community that we created in 2016 out of a need or a request from our graduates where they said, we love the support as a trainee, but then when we graduated, there was nothing and we wanted that to continue. So we created a postgraduate membership where you have a Facebook group, which is super active and very supportive. Like you can go in there and ask a question, and not only are our clinical advisors or mentors going to jump in and answer your questions, but other fellow FDNs are going to jump in there. There's no shortage of support in that Facebook group. But beyond that, you get access to our monthly webinars that we have. So some of the webinars that you can expect is Detective Hour. So we hold Detective Hour 3 times a month in our AFDNP, and that is basically where we're doing case reviews. So you can submit a case for Detective Hour and you get a full hour with the clinical advisor. It's recorded and everybody else in the community gets to learn from you. And we have Detective Hour cases dating back to 2016 that you can go back and look at when you become a member. And I think I remember Jennifer saying at one time, if you watched a webinar a day with all of our archives, you'd be watching webinars for the next 3 years. We have that much content available to you.
I was about to say, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy at this point. As dense as the FDN course is, and as much as we have, the archives of AFDNP, if we never added anything else, technically surpasses time-wise, the FDN course itself. So AFDNP is kind of awesome. It's really a great resource.
Yes. So AFDNP is a monthly membership. So there is a monthly fee. So at the time of this recording, the current monthly membership cost is $99 a month. So you get that robust Facebook group, you get those webinars, and there's a webinar every single week. There's not just Detective Hour, but we have business webinars. We have Pro series where we have some of our lab partners and supplement partners come on and do training. So there's a lot of great webinars in there. But the other thing that you get as a member is you get a discount on the metabolic typing test. So we talked a little bit about that in the course. There is a cost to that when you order it, but as an AFDNP member, you get to save $50 off every single metabolic typing test you order for yourself or your clients. You get a discount on our medical director program, which we will go there in just a moment. You get 20% off any of our advanced courses. So this is a standing 20% off that you can use on any of our advanced courses. And then you also get access to the natural medicines database. So this actually has a $200 per year value, where you can go in and you can put any supplement in there and find out what its interactions are with any medication. It's a really great database to use when you're building protocols, just so that you can feel confident that what you're recommending isn't going to interfere with other supplements or interfere with medications that your client might be taking. So that's just some of the benefits in AFDNP, and there's a ton of support that you get from there. So I'm gonna
we got we have a few things to buff through real quick, if that's okay. One of them was like kind of a follow-up question to Stephanie's about, okay, why don't we teach Dutch in the main course? And that's a fantastic question, because if you get this, you kind of understand the broader thing of what we're doing. Because we're not against Dutch. Obviously, we have an addendum for it, and we have an advanced course that you can buy all about it. FDN, and from a consumer perspective, because I was a practitioner long before I ever worked for FDN or with FDN, what we're trying to do is give you as much as you need to go get people real results, and technically nothing more unless you want to take it to that route. So I'll explain that in a second. But the tests that we use and the diet and lifestyle recommendations that we give do help. I mean, they get phenomenal results for people. I'm someone who had 7 different diagnosed conditions at 18, and I don't meet the diagnostic criteria for any of those things anymore. And it's because of what we learned in FDN. So we try to do, I don't want to say the bare minimum because it's misleading, but it's like, give you as much as you need in this course so that we don't have to charge $30,000 for the dang thing. And if you want to go to those next levels in terms of testing, because that's about it. I mean, in terms of the results that you'll get, the FDN course is pretty much going to get you the majority of the results. But if you want to keep learning tests, we encourage that. That's why we have the CEUs. What's fun about FDN is we have the resources and the connections that you can take this about as far as you want. So we have people that have been in business for 10 years that are doing this well over full time. And I don't mean in terms of hours, I mean in terms of income and impact, like they're killing it. And they've never done anything more than the FDN course. And then Brandy, we have clinical advisors, man. They've done every advanced course. They got like 9 certifications because that's who they are. They want to keep learning this kind of stuff. So we're not teaching it in the course just because 1, we'd have to charge a lot more to go all into the Dutch. And 2, for what we're trying to do, just get people well and keep them well naturally. The Dutch is cool, but you don't actually need that. I've been doing this for 6 years and I've never learned the Dutch yet. I might change that soon just out of curiosity, and my girlfriend keeps hyping it up and she has the advanced stress and hormones. I don't want her to know more than me, but outside of my competitiveness, you don't really need this to do this work effectively. So Brandy, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but someone else also asked, are the advanced courses included or additional?
Yeah, so I'll just add a little bit to that because this is actually a question I got in a postgraduate interview, which I didn't mention actually. When you graduate from the course, every single person gets a half-hour postgraduate interview with myself or Don, and sometimes Reed jumps into those. He used to do all of them, but we're so busy that he's not able to keep up with all of them. But the reason you get that interview is we want to ask you how your experience was. We want to get your feedback, and we take that feedback. That's why we make so many updates to the course and why we continually give you access to those updates, is because we take your feedback and we take it seriously. So we get your feedback, and then we want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. So I was doing a postgraduate interview today and somebody asked that exact same question about the Dutch, and I was showing her the resources that we had post-graduation. And to add what you said, Evan, we are teaching you the foundations. It's so important to understand the foundations first, because otherwise when you have the foundations and how to look at lab tests differently, you can take those clinical skills or those correlation skills that we teach you, and you can use that on any test. And so with the Dutch test, it's great. It definitely has its use, but it's so important for you to understand the foundations and that clinical correlation first. because you could then go down the rabbit hole of every other practitioner that our client has seen, and you're kind of looking at the individual markers and saying, well, let me give you this for that. And that's not what we do. So that's why we are very specific in what we teach you, but we encourage you to learn more post-graduation, because you've gotten those foundational clinical correlation skills that we're teaching you in the course.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just as a reminder, the other question, because I know I probably screwed you up with that, are the advanced courses included or additional will be our next thing?
Yes, thank you. So no, they are not included. They are additional, and they range from price. Our smallest one is $97, which is scientific literacy, which teaches you how to look at a scientific paper with a keen eye, so to understand what it means. To our highest price one is $997. That's our coaching and emotional wellness course, but most of them lie in the range of $300 to $500. So they're pretty reasonably priced. And like I said, you get lifetime access to them. There's no time limit.
Yeah, in my opinion, those are so they're underpriced, right? There's so much content in those. I love that you mentioned the functional blood chemistry, because it's the one I'm most familiar with. Like when I went through that, I'm like, this is crazy, like how much you get for this. So it's a nice bonus for FDN. One other thing, okay, yes, so you had kind of mentioned hot topics at one point, and you also mentioned detective hour, and these are events that they'll actually get to see this month if they want to, correct?
Yes. So tomorrow, if you join us tomorrow, you get to be a fly on the wall for hot topics. You get to see what it's like as a student to be in on that conversation with Elizabeth and see how she covers a topic. So if that's something you're interested, I really encourage that you attend. And then Friday is where we're doing detective hour. I believe it's Paula. Paula is an amazing clinical advisor. And again, you get to be a fly on the wall and see how she goes over a case with an FDN that has submitted it. And they spend a full hour going over the case. They talk about, what the lab tests are saying, how to build a protocol, and that FDN practitioner gets all their questions answered.
Cool. All right. By the way, if you guys don't know, we still have some time where you can get on the VIP if you want to catch the recording of this one or any of the other ones that we do in the future for FDN Summer Open House. So that's fdntraining.com/VIP, fdntraining.com/VIP. We do not have any other questions right now. So do we have, I'm sure we still have some other stuff to go over, right?
I got more stuff to show you. So, I was trying to decide if I should start talking about our medical director program or business school. And I think I'm going to do business school because we were just talking about graduation. So we just talked about the AFDNP membership and all the things that you get access to. But one of the other programs that we have available to you as a graduate is FDN Business School. So FDN Business School is a program that was put together for FDNs by an FDN practitioner. So Jennifer Woodward, who managed our AFDNP membership for several years, was seeing all the feedback in the areas where our practitioner were struggling, and she built a course to just address all of those problems. So with FDN Business School, you get, I think she's always adding stuff.
It's crazy.
9 modules. It's crazy, 9 modules. But basically, she takes you from step 1, like you've graduated from the course. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to open your lab accounts and how to order tests. So she walks you step by step through that process. Module 2, she takes you into, okay, let's get myself set up. Do I need insurance? Do I need a bank account? She walks you through all of those things and answers all of those questions that keep people stuck, that stop them from starting a business because it feels scary. So she goes over that with you. You get some bonus lessons in there from Reed on the legalities of practicing in supplements and labs. And then she dives right into, all right, let's figure out a package. Let's figure out how to price it. And let's show you how you can actually do some sales calls to get some clients. Once she showed you that, now she's showing you how to use leverage technology so you can get a platform where you can manage all of your clients. She teaches you how to use Canva to build a landing page, how to set up an email list, like everything that you think you need. Jennifer is showing you in FDN Business School. And as a bonus, if you're an AFDNP member, you get 20% off, and there's a support Facebook group, and Jennifer's doing a live in there every single week. So FDN Business School, again, at the time of this recording, is $1,997. Again, very underpriced for what you're getting, and Jennifer's always adding more content, and you do get lifetime access to this material. So I wanted to make sure we talked about this, because this is the one thing that I know you probably experience as well, Evan, is people feel very worried about the business aspect. And we want to let you know we've got you covered. That's why we created this. And again, at the time of this recording, if you sign up for the course, you can add business school for $997. So that's a huge, huge savings. You can bundle it on the front end for $997, and you have a course that walks you through step by step from start to finish on how to set up your business and start working with clients.
Yeah. And, we have a question, Brandy, of, what if I don't want to run a business? Can I get a job? The only thing because I'm passionate about this, I gotta give a slight answer first of sit with yourself first to make sure that you actually don't want to run a business and you're not just allowing limiting beliefs to get you. Now, of course, I'm an employee of FDN right now, right? So I have stuff that I do on my own, and then I have stuff that I do here. So there's even people that are mixed like myself, but make sure you actually want to get the job, and there's reasons for that, and you're not just scared. And guess what? That exists too. So that's totally fine. But I see so many people that they would actually love to do their own business. They'd love to make their own hours. They would love to work from Greece one day and, Mexico the next day. They'd love to do that, but they're scared and don't think they can. So if you don't think you can, don't even worry about that. We can take that. We can take care of that and help you with the business school side. But let's say for whatever reason, maybe they're just in a position in life where they do want a job, and they know that would best serve them and their current goals. How would that look for them, Brandy, if they wanted a job with FDN or using FDN to get a job?
Yeah. So, we are becoming more and more well-known, and there's more and more functional medicine doctors that want to hire FDNs in their practice. But we also have some very successful FDN practitioners that are getting so busy that they're hiring FDNs for their practice as well. So we are very short time away, like days away from a job board that will also be accessible here on FDN Connect. But we do get jobs sent to us, probably 2 or 3 a month, and we post those in our AFDNP Facebook group. So you do have to be an AFDNP member to get access to those jobs. And so we will post them in there to give you first dibs at being able to apply for any job openings. And this is people approaching us saying, we're looking to hire FDN practitioners. So I wouldn't say that there's a ton of them, but there's definitely job opportunities out there that do arise.
Yeah, and I appreciate that answer, because I always say, are the opportunities increasing? Yes, they are. Would I go through the course solely to just try to get the job without anything aligned beforehand? No, that might not be the best choice. So there you have a couple of things. You could either say, hey, I do want to give the business thing aside because that's your fastest route to success, in my opinion, or get creative. Go to your local chiropractor, go to your local acupuncturist. Maybe you already use one of them for services, right? These people love adding on FDNs, and then you can kind of get this deal created beforehand. So a few things to think of there. Now, I know we're at the 9-minute mark, Brandy. So if you don't want to answer these right now, that's fine. But someone had asked, who is Jennifer, maybe like some of her credentials, because she's very well versed in a lot of different things and very credible to create this business school. So do we want to answer that now, or would you like to keep going through some things?
Sure. Yeah. So Jennifer actually is a successful FDN practitioner. She does have a background in corporate America. I believe it was actually with the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah. But because she was starting her own practice, she's also enrolled and taken, I think, 5 or 6 different business courses. And so she learned a lot from all of those courses. It was actually the reason she did that was she wanted to learn so she can bring that information to support the FDN graduates. So a lot of those courses she actually went through while she was the director of our AFDNP, so that she could, build relationships either with the people teaching those courses and bring them on to provide education, but also so she could learn herself. And so she developed a lot of this education and knowledge and built FDN Business School last year, like I said, out of a need and seeing the need that our practitioners were looking for a specific program for them. Because there were other programs that we recommended, but they weren't specific to the FDN model. And so some practitioners were learning something, but they were finding it difficult. Well, how do I make this relate to what we do as FDN practitioners? And so that's what Jennifer did. She built a business school specific to an FDN practice.
Cool. She's awesome. And she has said this publicly in the group, so I can say this. One of the biggest reasons she's credible is Jennifer is the owner of an FDN business that does over six figures. So she is the real deal. She's actually doing it. And we're very fortunate to have her have helped us. So someone asked, and I know that there's income disclaimers and stuff like that, but someone said, what can you expect to earn as an FDN? I guess both in general, but if you go through the business school as well. I can say, because I get to do the podcast, I'm lucky enough for this. Some people say it publicly, some say it off air. You would be shocked by how many people are out there doing six figures or sometimes even multiple six figures using this philosophy and scaling it as a business. Brandy, you've definitely talked to more people over time. I mean, there's some people that don't have it in them in terms of the entrepreneur stuff, and they won't even go through the business school. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So what's realistic for people to do this as income?
I would say at the very least $100,000. So if you're focusing on this, even, I mean, mostly part-time, but like for sure full-time, but if you're focusing on this, you should be able to make at least $100,000. And, you have to demand what you're worth. And I mean, we could have a whole other conversation about that, but if you follow what we show you, you should be able to make $100,000 a year.
Cool.
At least.
I'll answer this one really quick. Do insurances typically cover these costs for our clients? No, we are cash-based businesses. One of the wonderful things, because people were already doing this successfully before, but one of the wonderful things that came to us in the last year, and I use this all the time, is the advanced care card. So it allows people with good to excellent credit, usually 680 and above, to finance our programs for 15 months interest free. So our programs at my business range from $3,300 to $4,500 with the labs included. And even that $4,500 package now becomes $300 a month without interest. So it can be a very interesting way to talk to people about this and get them involved. But no, insurance would not typically, even if we were doctors, insurance wouldn't typically cover this stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
And Evan, I know we want to keep this at time, but I have a couple more things I definitely want to cover.
I'm good if you're
so
good.
Are you good? All right. Because I want to make sure you guys get all your questions answered. So let's talk about the FDN Medical Director Program and labs, because this is the big question that we get. So how is it, as a non-licensed practitioner, do we get access to lab testing? So this is where the FDN Medical Director Program comes in. We have two medical directors who are both medical doctors. They also took the FDN program. They believe so much in what we do and what Reed teaches and the FDN philosophy that they have given us the ability to access lab testing using their licenses. Now, that does not mean that as FDN practitioners, we get to consult with our two medical directors, because that is not the case. They have their own very busy practices, but they allow us to access lab testing through them. So with the FDN Medical Director Program, when you graduate, you get access to over 60 plus functional lab tests. I'll show you the menu here in just a second, so you can get a taste of what some of those are. And what we are doing is, as FDN practitioners, is we are facilitating the ability for our clients to access self-testing. So there's nothing illegal about doing that. We are not providing a diagnosis code, as Evan mentioned. So you need a diagnosis code in order for something to be covered by insurance. So we do not provide that. We are also making sure that when they sign up with us, that they are signing a terms of service agreement. And guess what? We give you that agreement that you can then edit for your own practice. So that terms of service agreement clearly states at the very onset of a relationship with us as an FDN practitioner is that we are not licensed practitioners. We do not diagnose or treat. We are giving them access to self-testing and providing education, and we encourage them to speak with their licensed healthcare professional or doctor before making any changes. So this program is just facilitating the ability for your clients to get access to functional lab testing that they wouldn't otherwise get access to. And the key thing to remember here is that we are not using any of the information on these tests to diagnose anything. We do not diagnose anything specifically. So I'm going to open the menu just so you can see just some of the tests that we get access to. And because NutriPath popped up right away, we are able to send lab testing worldwide. There's a small handful of places where it's a little bit difficult, but because we've been doing this for so long, we worked very hard to build some really good relationships with some labs overseas so that almost anywhere in the world we can get lab testing to clients. So we have things like the intestinal permeability, which we talked about in the main course. We've got Cyrex testing. We've got parasitology, we've got Genova, we've got DHA labs, we've got doctors data, we've got diagnostic solutions. I was going to say Great Plains, but they've changed their name to Mosaic.
Yeah.
We do have hair tissue mineral analysis testing. So you get access to over 60 different labs through our medical director program. And when you order a test through the medical director program, you get a 30-minute consultation with one of our clinical advisors where they will go over the test results with you. And it's not a teaching session, so they're not teaching you about that test, but they will go over those test results with you and help you so that you feel confident going into a session with your clients and educating them on the test results. So I wanted to make sure we covered the testing because I know that that's something that we get a lot of questions on. And we have been doing this since the very beginning, since 2008. And we've built some really robust relationships with some labs.
Yeah, and for whatever it's worth, again, as a consumer myself, for someone who's been doing this for 6 years, I have never, ever once had a test that I wanted or needed and couldn't get through the medical director program. So it's about anything that you could want, which is amazing. And it's really nice to have this resource. Someone, going back just for a second, if you don't mind, someone had said, how long does it typically take to get through the 9 modules of business school?
That's a good question. I think Jennifer had mentioned the average time is about 3 months. So, I mean, you could go through it quicker, but because she's showing you how to do something and then you stop the video and then you do what she showed you, it takes about 3 months to go through.
Yeah, and you will have lifetime access to that one as well. Yes.
Yes.
Also from before, just so you guys know, for the events this month, and I'm always like hesitant with this because I actually think it's very sad. Some people have such limiting beliefs about what they're capable of doing that you tell them this and they don't believe it can happen for them. But why don't you come watch the events and then you see if you relate to the people. We do have a couple events this month. One is with Matt Terry. Check out he's doing 25K a month right now in his business. And then someone that we are finishing up with, Jen Sino, at the very end of the month. Again, it might be too much for you to understand right now, but this is a person that has a business where she has multiple FDNs employed under her, and they are a 6-figure a month business. So this stuff is possible, and you never have to shoot for something like that to have success with this. But the point is, the system is good enough that if you add the business side in, you can take this about as far as you would like to go. And you're helping people along the way, right? I think that's another thing. People get very scared of business, Brandy, as you know, and they have been told since they were a kid that people that are like selling something or making money are somehow bad and evil, which is a crazy thing. You don't get to those numbers without serving people at a high level. That's the irony. The people that get that amount of money are getting it because they're serving people at such a high level. That's how that works. Eventually people figure out that you're doing something crappy long before you get to that kind of stuff. So please come learn from them, see how normal they are. And of course, they have exceptional results because of what they're doing with their lives. But I mean, they're normal people that are making good decisions and staying consistent over time, and they're getting abnormal results because of it. So definitely something to check out.
For sure. And I do want to add, because we are recording this for the summer open house, which is June 2023. But for those of you who may be watching this after the fact on the website, all of this summer open house recordings, we will give to you when you enroll in the course. So we are planning to take all of those recordings and make them accessible here in the resource section to our FDN practitioners and students. So if you are watching this, in the future, don't fret if you weren't able to attend live. We will get those recordings for you. But we just want to make you aware of all the amazing things we have going on. So the last thing I did want to cover, because this is a question that does come up, we do have options for liability insurance worldwide. So we have a couple of options here in the US. We have one in Canada, and then we do have an international option for liability insurance if you live outside of North America. So if this is a question that you have, yes, we do have information for you and the ability to get liability insurance once you graduate for the program. I know that was a lot of information. There's so much more I could probably go over, but I wanted to give you guys a behind the scenes look at all the things you have available here, what you get access to when you're a student, what you can look forward to when you're a graduate. And I'm happy to answer any more questions. If anybody has some more questions, I'll stop my share and we can.
Yes. Well, our friend Connie said, they were like, hey, oh, that was my question. So you just beat them to the point, which is great. And then we have, okay, is there a cost to the medical director program for the labs?
That is a good question. So yes, there is a $65 fee. So that fee covers the cost of our administration team. So we have a team that takes care of all of the ordering and delivering of the product for you. That also covers the 30-minute consult with the clinical advisor, and it covers the cost of our medical director. So the fee normally is $75. If you are an AFDNP member, that's our postgraduate membership, it is reduced to $65. Great
One
question.
thing worth noting too is there are, a lot of tests in the MDP that actually don't require the medical director program fee. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Off the top of my head, I think out of the 6 core tests that we teach in the main FDN course, only one of them requires MDP fee, correct?
That is correct. So
Nice.
we've built some really good relationships with our labs that some of them actually allow FDN practitioners to open direct accounts.
Yes. And then for the question that says, do I get support from MDP on lab results? Yes, that's the great part. So either you didn't pay for MDP and you're able to get the lab, or if you did, that will always include a 30-minute consult, optional one, with one of our clinical advisors. Now, again, 6 years in, I still use them. I'm like, why would I not? Because there's only 2 things that can happen. Either 1, I learned something, or 2, I find out in 5 minutes that I was on the right track and I'm good to go. So why would I not use something that I paid for and is included? Let me check here for any more questions? Okay, cool. This person was just asking about the stuff for tomorrow, which I was going to say anyway. Okay, do you have any RDs doing FDN? So I'm assuming that means registered dietitians.
We do. I can't think of a name off the top of my head, but I know we have a couple of registered dietitians. And in fact, Tammy, who is on our course enrollment team, is a registered dietitian, and she's currently going through the program. So yes, we definitely do.
Yeah, so the podcast that we do for FDN is called the Health Detective Podcast. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head which RDs we would have had on there. What I'd recommend, honestly, is just typing in the Health Detective Podcast on Google and dietitian afterwards, because there's been over 240 episodes. So I'm sure someone will come up. I'm looking at the questions and I think we might be... Okay, one more. Well, I say that, but one more as of right now. What type of people take FDN? If I may, just coming from the podcast perspective, I don't want to say everyone, but like literally everyone. What the core thing that brings everyone together here is we all almost have health stories. Now, that might be a family member or a close friend or a spouse that dealt with this kind of stuff and it led to your passion. I would say 95 to 99% of the time, those who go through the course have personally struggled with their own health. And we want to get well and stay well naturally. And we want to help other people do the same. So we've had teachers on that podcast, engineers. I've had a physicist on one time, if I'm not mistaken, nurses, RDs, definitely. It'd be harder for me to think of a career that hasn't come on. I don't think I've had any construction guys ever come on. That might not have ever happened yet, but pretty much everything else. So yeah, do you have a different way to answer that, Brandy? Like, who does take FDN?
I mean, yeah, you're right. Everybody. I think I actually have had somebody who owned a construction company and a landscaping company. I had somebody who owned a landscaping company who enrolled in the FDN course. So yeah, and everybody who wants to make this change and make a difference can take the FDN
Someone
course.
answered that for us, saying a smart quality people, FDN students are the best. I promise that's not a staff member. So that's awesome. Thank you very much. I'm guessing they're a student though. I've even met some people. It's so cool. Like locally, there's someone in AFDNP. I still have to get connected with her because she actually doesn't know I know this. They have a tanning studio, Brandy. She owns this in my town. And it's like very advanced. They have tanning beds with like red light in it. I'm like, okay, this isn't just your average, go to the gym and get tan type of thing. It's a health thing too. And sure enough, she was an AFDNP. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So this is like a major company out here that has multiple locations, and she was going through FDN. So it really is anyone and everyone. I think that does it for our questions today. Okay, one more. How long is the sale on for? It is the entire month of June. So that's when you will be able to do that if you are watching this in the time frame necessary for it. Cool. Oh, and the person that said smart quality people is a student about to graduate. I thank you for your honesty. I had to figure you might be a little biased. So I appreciate you guys coming on to the first event that I was lucky enough to get to host. Tomorrow does not look like I'll be on with you, but you have event number 3 out of 20 something for the summer open house. That is Hot Topics with Elizabeth Gaines. So you are literally seeing something and getting access to something that the FDN trainees are currently going through. So that will be at 10 a.m. PST. It's 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST. We got like people all over the time zone. So that's about all I can give you. You might have to do the conversion yourself. And then I will be back with you for event number 4, which is June 8th. That is on Thursday. And that is Building a Career That Works for You with Jennifer Woodward. So that was the woman that we were just hyping up for creating our business school. And that will be at 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST as well. So that's all I got, Brandy. No, I think that's about it. Okay. Oh yeah. You can go to fdntraining.com/VIP if you would like the recordings of all this stuff. But Brandy, do you have anything else before we hop off?
No, I hope this was a really good, helpful behind the scenes look to really understand, what you're getting for what you're paying. I think it's amazing value. I hope you were, able to see all the support that we have for you, and we look forward to seeing you in the course.
Cool. I think that'll cover it for today then. You guys have a wonderful day, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.